What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a really awesome video for you today. I'm going to be talking about the top 5 SMGs in the current meta, both for Vanguard and regular Royale, where you can use all the weapons. I'm going to be using the new best TTK calculating tool, which is going to be super powerful. So I'm excited to show you guys this in action and show you how powerful it's going to be when it's released. It's not quite out yet. It's going to be a new TGD premium feature, but I'm struggling with getting some of the caching done. This is a really CPU intensive task, so we're trying to cache the results ahead of time, so it can just pull those rather than recalculating each time. Because if we did that, honestly, the site would just crash because too many people would be trying to use it, and it wouldn't be able to handle that processing time. But as always, if you like the content, consider dropping a like and a comment on the video. I've been working extremely hard on this, so it'd be really appreciated. But let's jump into it, and we'll talk about the top 5 SMGs in Warzone. Today's video is sponsored by Legion Farm. This is a pretty unique opportunity to actually make money from playing Warzone, so you should definitely stick around and hear what I have to say about this. If you don't know what Legion Farm is, basically it's a website where a customer can come on the website, sign on, and instantly have access to being able to play with pros for either Warzone or Apex. These Legion Farm pros get paid to play with these customers, and that's what this segment is all about. Legion Farm is currently rapidly expanding, so they're looking to hire more of these pros for both Warzone and Apex to come in and play with their customers, to help their customers learn about the game, learn strategies, just learn how to get better in general. Or if the players just want a good teammate, that's another thing you can get on Legion Farm. So it's not always coaching. Sometimes it'll just be, literally just playing with this person. So how this would work is you'd go to their website and sign up for their aspirant program. I'll have that linked down in the video description as well as in a pinned comment. Basically, you go through a training program for 3 months. You'll be improving your skills in Warzone. You'll be learning about coaching and customer service and how to be a better coach. You don't always have to be coaching people. Some people just want to sign up to have good teammates and good players on their team. So sometimes it'll be coaching, sometimes it won't. You'll learn more about Warzone just from their knowledge base. And throughout this whole 3-month training process, you actually get paid a stipend of $640 a month. So that's pretty huge. It's not like you're just taking time off what you would normally be doing and not getting paid for it. And then obviously the big one, once you graduate the 3-month program, you'll be able to earn a salary of approximately $2,000 a month, which is not insignificant. I mean, that's like a real salary just to play Warzone and teach people how to get better at the game. The requirements to sign up for the aspirant program and become a Legion Farm Pro are actually pretty easy. So you just need a KD over 2 with over 10,000 kills in either game, whether it's Warzone or Apex, whichever one you want to become a pro for. And obviously you need to speak fluent English as well. I have no idea how many spots they have open for these aspirant program applicants. So if you're interested, be sure to go check it out as soon as possible. I think this is a pretty unique opportunity. It's something that a lot of people want to do, is make a real income from gaming. And I think it's really cool that I have the opportunity to share this with you guys. So my special link to go check this program out will be down in a pinned comment as well as in the video description. And thank you so much, Legion Farm, for sponsoring this video, helping to support the YouTube channel as well as TGD, the website. So like I said in the intro, this is not totally finished yet. It's not live yet, but it will be very soon. Basically what this does is it'll find the best TTK of all the weapons for your selections at a given range. So I'll show you how this works. Today we're talking about SMGs, so I'm going to select SMGs. I'm going to leave it on all Modern Warfare, all Vanguard, all Cold War. You could potentially turn off Modern Warfare and Cold War if you were playing in a tournament that's restricted to only Vanguard guns, or you can select individual guns if you want. But I just want to look at all SMGs. So I'm going to say all SMGs. It adds all of them to my calculation. And then for SMG range, I'm generally looking at about 7 meters. I want to do 250 health, the standard amount of health in Warzone with full plate. And then I want combinations. These are my default combinations. I've talked about that before. But this generates a real TTK based on those combinations. That's another premium feature for the TTK charts, but it also works for this. In the future, we'll have an option where you can select only best combinations for individual weapons rather than every combination for that weapon. But then you just click generate, and it'll sit there and calculate. Again, this takes a lot of time. This is a hugely intensive task, and it'll generate the absolute best TTKs at that distance given your inputs. So given my inputs, the best TTK at 7 meters is the Type 100 with the rapid barrel, recoil booster, hollow point, and the 30 Russian short 36 round mags. So the power of this is that you can find the guns that have the best TTK at a certain range and then try to build them to be controllable. And if you balance those two things, you're going to come out with excellent builds. So you can actually see the Type 100 is pretty dominant in the TTK category at that distance right now. So we're going to also talk about like 14 meters, 15 meters, and see what the calculations come out for that. This is what the only show best calculations option would say. It would take all these other Type 100s out, and it would only show the best Type 100 at that range rather than, showing all the Type 100s. So surprisingly, this was surprising to me, the Type 100, because it has really good headshot damage and overall just pretty good TTKs, it comes out on top with this rapid barrel, recoil booster, hollow point, 36 round Russian short mags. So that's really cool. So we'll take that build as well as these two other builds that actually tie it in terms of 405 millisecond TTK at 7 meters, and we'll go see if we can build it to a point where it's controllable, and then that will be pretty much the new meta. I mean, those are the two important things. Is TTK. Mobility obviously is important, but the Type 100 with its perks has fantastic mobility. I already knew it was a really good gun, but this surprised me that it also had the best combination TTK at 7 meters with the right build. But the power of this is just that it can calculate for every single combination of attachments what's the best. Now that we have so many attachments that modify your actual damage values, this is going to be just a huge feature because there's too many combinations to possibly go through and calculate them all and get the real best TTK. If I scroll down, you can see why this is such a computationally intensive task. There's 116 pages, and each page has 15 weapon builds per page. If you calculate just for SMGs, obviously if you add more weapons, it ends up being like 350 pages long, which is crazy. It takes a ton of time to calculate this, so that's why I'm working on the caching thing and why it's not live yet. But I've moved to page 2. You can see Type 100 is still on top, and then we have the well gun with a few builds. M1928, surprisingly, at 7 meters actually comes in with a few builds at 470 millisecond TTK. This value will be either DPS or TTK given your inputs. Again, it's not completely finished, but it's close. Sten actually surprisingly comes in with a few different builds that have excellent TTK, which is also surprising because the base Sten doesn't have very good TTKs at all. But let's keep going until we start seeing some Modern Warfare Vanguard guns. So the AUG, this is not the AUG 556 because it doesn't have the 556 attachment. But with all these different builds, all has 487 millisecond TTK at 7 meters. That's the first gun from a different game. More well gun, more Type 100. 1928, this is the first we've seen the Owen gun at 496 with this build right here. So this is the power of this tool. I'm going to go through and I'm going to build basically the best SMG I can build of each game. So I'm going to take one from Modern Warfare, one from Vanguard, and one from Black Ops Cold War, and we'll see how they compare. And then I'll build a couple extra as well because it's supposed to be a top 5 video. So I'll give you a couple unique builds as well. All right, so this tool is especially powerful for SMGs because specifically TTK is huge in the SMG range. Obviously, sprint to fire time, things like that also play a huge part. Mobility, all these things make a huge difference. But I think I was pretty shocked by these results. I think by far the Type 100 is the best SMG in the game. These are the top 5 SMGs that I came out with. There are a bunch of guns in between the Type 100 Owen gun and the Lapa and Modern Warfare MP5, but I wanted to get one gun from each game. So we've got 3 from Vanguard. Vanguard's pretty much dominating the SMG space right now. And then 1 from Black Ops Cold War and the best from Modern Warfare. So we have the best from Black Ops Cold War as well. So if we go look at the TTK charts, you can see how these all compare. This is, again, with these shot location percentages that we've got here. If you look at this, you're going to see that the Type 100 has insane range on top of having insane TTKs. With the build, I didn't fully deck it out. I only gave it the attachments that made it have the best TTKs. Same for the other builds in the list here as well. So with these attachments, the Type 100 goes all the way out to 18 meters with this 447 millisecond average TTK with those shot location percentages. Obviously, all of this can change based on your shot location percentages. And people discounted the Type 100 because it doesn't have the best chest TTK. But when you look at all of its different shot locations, it comes out just ridiculously good. It also has Gung Ho, which I've talked about being massively overpowered in the past, especially for SMGs. So Gung Ho, on top of having the best TTK, means that, in my opinion, after looking at this, the Type 100, no question, is the best SMG in the game right now. And then we have the Owen gun right here in this green line. Green line Owen gun also has tons of range. With this build, goes out to 18.4 meters, but again, this is going to have really nasty recoil, so you kind of have to, we'll have to go in and build these and see if we can get them to have low recoil on top of having these amazing TTKs. And then the well gun, I'll say the well gun pretty much shows up everywhere in the TTK charts for best TTKs. So we have I built 2 of them, one with the Gorenko 25 round mag. That's not very feasible. It has a little bit better TTK than the 45 round or 48 round mag. But really you need those extra bullets, so I wouldn't really recommend this one, so I'm just going to take that off because it only has 25 rounds, and the TTKs aren't really that much better, so I think it's worth using the 48 round mag. And I've talked about this before. Well gun's amazing, one of the best guns in the game. And then we have the Lapa. The Lapa is this darker blue line. Again, Lapa's been an amazing contender forever, has really easy to control recoil on top of having fantastic TTKs and movement, which is all you're asking for in an SMG. Modern Warfare MP5 is quite a bit slower, but it was the fastest besides the AUG. Modern Warfare AUG had better TTKs, but the Modern Warfare AUG just has either a really small mag or really bad movement speed. And even when you use the small mag, it still has pretty bad movement speed. So I just, in general, for most people, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're someone who plays a little slower and tries to, more outsmart your opponent rather than use your movement to win the fights, then Modern Warfare AUG is fantastic for those kind of players. Like for me, I'm not a person who beats people with my movement. I beat people by outsmarting and knowing where they're going to be before they are there, and using really good weapons. So for me, the Modern Warfare AUG is perfect. I love it. It's one of my absolute favorite guns. But for people that, are more movement focused, the Modern Warfare MP5 is going to have much better mobility for you. So the idea behind the feature that we're releasing that shows all these TTKs is that you take the attachments that it says you need in order to get that best TTK, and then you add a bunch of other attachments to make that build work and be usable. So that's what I did here. I came up with the Type 100 build that I think is the best using those attachments that give you insane TTKs. So recoil booster, rapid barrel, 48 round drum mag, and hollow point give you the absolute best TTK in the game inside 15, 20 meters, whatever. I think it was like 18 meters, which is insane that it has that much range to start with. So this has pretty bad recoil, but again, this is for an SMG. We're focused on only really up close fights. So how I built this was, to get the underbarrel, the M1914 hand stop. This doesn't hurt your ADS times at all, but it does give you some nice horizontal recoil as well as vertical recoil. Hurts your hip fire, so if you want to hip fire, this is not the build for you. I can make a separate video on the PPSH about the very best hip fire build if you want. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. But obviously, 8mm hollow point, those give you the TTKs we talked about. We use stippled grip with initial firing recoil because the stock that we're going to use, the skeletal stock, we want better movement speed because mobility is also very important for SMGs. This hurts your initial firing recoil. So between these two attachments, stippled grip and the skeletal stock, basically cancels each other out. There's no effect on initial recoil. It doesn't have great recoil as far as horizontal bounce goes, but the actual vertical recoil is pretty easy to control with this build. But again, this is for absolute TTK dominance in inside 15 meters. So if you can hit your shots with this, you will not lose because this has the fastest TTK of any gun in the game by a pretty significant margin, like 50 to 100 milliseconds. It's pretty crazy. And on top of that, you get gung ho, which is ridiculous. This gives you 0 milliseconds of sprint to fire time, so you can start shooting immediately, which is just that on top of having the best TTK. That should never happen. You should never have a gun that has 0 sprint to fire time and the best TTKs because it's just going to be dominant up close. But that's what this gun has. So go get your Type 100 leveled up is what I'm saying. Then perk 2, we get the quick perk. Obviously, this is the only one really here that makes sense. Basically, helps your sprint speed, helps you move faster. And then slate reflector just to get a good optic. But overall, this combination is insane, and I would say the best SMG in Warzone right now. And then moving over to the well gun, this is a variation that has much better recoil than that Type 100 I just talked about. Basically, I've talked about the well gun in the past. I made a video about it talking about the best build. I've also made a video about the Lapa really recently and how amazingly good that is, but completely slept on. So I'm not actually going to cover the Lapa in this video. I will link the video that I just made about it down in the video description if you want to check that out. But the well gun, now that we have this TTK tool, we know we need the 48 round mag and the recoil booster. So we're not even going to put a barrel on it because the barrels all have really strong positives, but also really strong negatives. So there's really nothing in there that I felt like should be added to this, especially because they mess with the TTK since they change damage values. So basically I built this for decent hip fire, good mobility. You have gung ho, you have amazing TTKs because of the TTK calculator that we just went through. Again, stippled grip. This does initial firing recoil, and the Gawain skeletal again helps with your movement speed, which is really great for an SMG, but it hurts your initial firing recoils. But those two things kind of cancel out. So you're left with a gun that has really low recoil, amazing TTKs, high damage per mag, a good optic, instant sprint to fire time. Again, this is also a fantastic weapon. In the interest of time, I'm not actually going to cover my MP5 build or the Owen gun build or the Lapa build. Again, the Modern Warfare MP5 doesn't require any attachments to get that TTK that I showed in the spreadsheet. You can put whatever you want on it. The 10mm mags don't affect damage like it says it does in game. And I've updated all the values for the OTS, the MP5, all the things that have been nerfed in the past I think are up to date now. So you can trust the numbers on TGD, as well as all the other SMG damage modifying attachments have now been fully updated so I could make this video. So I just need to finish the ARs and then we'll be pretty good to go there. But I think this new tool is absolutely huge. It's going to be a massive advantage to have access to it. We'll be launching it hopefully in the next few days, but it's super tricky trying to figure out how to program the caching system, but really, really excited for this. This is probably the best feature I've ever built for TGD, and it's just going to be massively useful for the community. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one, which will hopefully be out in the next couple days.